Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long with those 1975. A YouTuber's on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends used to bug me. Long Boys Bros 1975.
Hey YouTube, Long Boys Post 1975, and what the fuck was I doing with my voice then? And welcome to another top 10 fantastic ZX Spectrum arcade conversions. Also, bonus points if you work out where the continuity error is in this video. I'll give you a hint, it's right now. Damn memory cards. Anyway, ignoring all that guff. Now, yes, I have done my 10 favourite arcade conversions of all time on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum, and that list stays as that list. I stand by those decisions, but reading through the comment section of that video and seeing what all the other ones that people listed, I thought it was a shame to not talk about some of the other amazing arcade ports on the ZX Spectrum, because for a machine that had such limited memory, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it could really punch above its weight in its own hands, and had so many amazing arcade ports on it that simply should not exist on it. So I thought that I have to do another video, and what's interesting about this video is almost half of it are by the same company. I mean, they showed up in the previous video, and there are still other games they've done that are absolutely amazing. Ghosts and Goblins that haven't shown up in this one. That was Elite Systems. I have no idea what happened to them after the 8-bit days, but it's a great shame because they ported so much fried gold to the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. So this list is in no particular order, but since, you know, quite a large amount of my subscribers are from outside the United Kingdom and have Raspberry Pis, have been asking me for great games. I think that universal, arcade games are universal, so it's a good place to start to play games on that system. So let's get into this list. The first one I want to talk about is Sega's Space Harrier. Oh, there we go. Right, it's a bit flickery, but I still think that's quite impressive. Circular motion, Dave, circular motion. You learned that when you were 8. Oh. Yeah. Space Harrier is another game released by Elite Systems, and it's a game once again based on Sega sprite scaling hardware, and even more so than Outrun on the Spectrum. You could say that this game simply should not exist. Well, it does, and it's amazing, and I loved it back in the day. I had to poke it with my multi-face to get infinite lives to get to the end, because all the levels are there, all the bonus stages are there. You know, it replicates sprite scaling on the Spectrum. It's hard. It's 48K, so you know, you can't blame the sound for that. It's hard, but it's fast. And if you compare it to games like Outrun, which made the list, and this didn't, so this might sound like an odd statement, it absolutely pisses along and is an accurate, competent port of Space Harrier. Now the next one is also by Elite, and that would be Paperboy. Right, oh, hang on. So yeah, right, so you deliver your papers, badly in my case, and oh, you can get it on the mat as well, can't you? You've got to get it in the box. Way points for getting in the box. There you go. Or you can get it on the mat. Now the house with the blackout windows, they're not cracked ends. They're people who aren't subscribed to you. So if you disrespectfully fuck the house up or vandalise it, you get points. Oh, you can knock over the gravestones as well. Again, Paperboy by Elite. An arcade machine, while playable and fun, you could argue kind of resided upon its gimmick with the handlebars, which as a kid I totally felt hook, line and sinker for. But that's not to say that it doesn't stop it being an amazing game on the Spectrum. Yes, it's monochromic, it plays to the Spectrum's strengths, but if you're like me, you know, grew up with the Spectrum, what's a little colour between friends? It's an absolutely perfect conversion. Alright, again, plays to the Spectrum's strengths when it comes to graphics, but it's a brilliant version of Paperboy that, you know, contains all the features of the arcade. It's utterly addictive and also quite challenging. Now the next one, again, I told you they were an amazing powerhouse, but again by Elite would be Commando. Oh, hostages. Nice. Glad I got you, because every other time I tried to get you I missed you and had to send Chuck Norris in to get you. Look at you with a mortar. Oh, frisky bloke with the... Can I get him? Apparently he's bomb-proof. Oh, shit. Commando, obviously that run and gun game, run and gun shooter, I should say. Lone Commando, nothing but machine gun, grenades, running deep into enemy territory with a constant respawning supply of bad guys. Balls hard in the arcades, absolutely balls hard. And as you would expect then, a decent conversion would be too. Well, this is a decent conversion. I'm going to say this is better than the NES version, tied with the Commodore version, but fast. The graphics are amazing. You've got to remember, this is 1985. Spectrum had been out for 3 years at this point. Yeah, fast, balls hard, constant characters coming, no slowdown whatsoever. So hard back in the day, in fact, that even though I enjoyed it, me and my brothers used to tag team at it, with one of us doing up, down, left, right, because QAOP, M5, Z grenade, but their job would simply be to hammer on the keyboard the letter M, or the M key, to constantly fire the machine gun. So you would have, the ability to shoot the tits off everyone, but constantly move around the screen, making that your priority. I remember my dad one day said to us, "You are going to change the keys," and why? Because you're going to wear them out, dumbass. Anyway, the next one, again, also by Elite. I should have just made an Elite list, shouldn't I? But hey, one of their games is actually left off this list, which might make it into another list. But the next one is Ikari Warriors.
Did I take you out? I don't know if I took you out. I'm scared to go up. Right, we're toggling up, and we're legging it. Tank. Yes! Check it out. I don't know why the tank's so small. It's like a mini tank. No, 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 no! One comes on the left now, as I recall. Yep. Oh, shit. Oh, bollocks! I've just held it. That was a bad idea.
I guess Elite ported this because of the success of Commando, because that was a huge game for them on the Spectrum, in fact on all 8-bit systems. But it was made by SNK in the arcades, and it was simultaneous 2-player going up the screen, and did something that you would think would make it difficult to use or make an actual arcade conversion of, which is you had rotary joysticks, so you could fire in any direction. Well, they made a port, it looks amazing, it plays amazing, it's got all the vehicles and stuff like that. I would argue it's just behind Commando for me. It is my favourite sort of run and gun, lone wolf shooting sort of type of game. But they had it so you could lock your position in one position by pressing a key, then pressing it to uncancel that lock position, which is not the same as a rotary joystick. Just made it absolutely fantastic. But it made it feel like the arcades. You might think that's a hard thing to believe without a rotary joystick, but try it. Balls hard, but super, super satisfying. Now, the next game is not an Elite game. The next game is The New Zealand Story by Ocean.
Boom. There we go. Oh, shit. And little deaf dude's gonna come. There we go. Yeah, carjacking. What? Oh, come on. I don't know if it's this difficult. There we go. Right. Just spit death. Ooh. Shit. Oh no, don't touch. Oh my god, that was close. Don't touch those things. I don't want to pop my head. He's going to fire, isn't he? He's going to fire. Don't fire. Yeah, there's levels when you have to go underwater as well and you get like a scuba mask on and stuff. And you have a time limit on your oxygen, and then your projectile weapon of choice becomes spitting water.
Now, obviously, this was an arcade machine that was kind of, well, not in the vein of Mario as such, but it was a platform game and you could shoot other cute animals. You played Tiki the Kiwi, all your mates had been nicked from the zoo by a walrus. Was it a walrus? I don't know, because he's only the first boss. And you have to go and rescue them back. There were warp zones that bypass certain levels, or certain parts of the level, I should say. It's super cute and it's amazing graphics, and I loved it in the arcades back in the day. Maybe because I could play it so well, but not stuff like Mario is why I fell in love with it. So when it got ported to the Spectrum, I was blown away. I keep looking down there because that's my list, by the way. I know, professional. It's monochromic, backgrounds take a massive hit. You've got the music on the 1 to 8K Spectrum. I'm not going to lie, after a couple of hours of it, it will drive you nuts. But it looks, at least the sprites are a perfect monochromic representation of the arcade machine, and the warp zones are in there. I'm guessing not all of them, but the majority, or at least some of them are. I don't know where they all are, but fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Another example of, the Spectrum punching above its weight because of the sheer size of New Zealand Story. arcade machine. Now the next game is also, no, I want to say it's by, well, it's not by Ocean, but Ocean owned them at this point, and that would be Rastan Saga by Imagine.
Nice loincloth. Oh, look like he's dry humping the rope. I have to press fire to get off the rope. Right, get ready to jump. Oh fuck, I like the fact that when I die, apparently my legs go translucent. Shit. Okay. Odd choice of colours, but at least there's no attribute clash. Ah, I got you when I was falling. Got your nose. That's weird, because I'm not even jumping as high as it. Right, so kiss my axe. See what I did there? Actually, I can't take credit from that. I stole it from Sling. Right. Hey, I can keep up with the projectile. Fucking hell. I'm as fast as a fucking shuriken.
Rastan Saga, obviously heavily inspired by Conan the Barbarian. Side-scrolling, hack and slash, somewhat elements of rope climbing and sort of platforming nature. But once again, I love this in the arcades. I played it more so later on than in the early days I used to go to the arcades, but I loved it, and, you know, simply because of how big Conan was to me as a child. But yeah, this again is a sport. This is a port that looks, retains, and this is what it is. Sometimes the Spectrum takes a hit and it's more of a tribute act, you could say, to a sort of a more accurate representation and keeps the gameplay aspects. But this is well, there is colour, but a mainly monochromic, you know, version of the arcade. The sprites are accurate, the sprites are big, all the gameplay elements are in there, and yeah, it's just another example of why do you look like this on the Spectrum? You look like a watered out, a colour washed out version of the arcade machine. Seriously. Now, the next game is also by Imagine. Imagine made a whole bunch of great arcade ports, you know, on the Spectrum, as you know, I mentioned in my previous list, but this would be Green Beret.
What's wrong with my head? Why am I nodding? Is this some 80s dance or something? Oh, there's the jumpy blokes, hang on. Oh, fuck. It just piles it on, it just absolutely piles it on. Now, believe it or not, this is actually easier than the arcade version. Oh, come on. Fuck.
More commonly known outside the UK as Rush N Attack. See what they did there? This, once again, is a lone commander running deep into enemy territory to rescue hostages with nothing but a knife. There are weapon upgrades, but they only last for sort of 3 blasts, such as the flamethrower. And yeah, this, I mean, if you've seen the arcade, you could argue that the arcade is simplistic, but that doesn't stop some people from ballsing it up, and I would argue that this is the best 8-bit port. Seriously, just my opinion, taste is subjective, but I think it's absolutely fantastic. There's so many sprites on screen, jumping sprites, regular sprites just rushing you, there's mines, you know, you would think it would slow down. It doesn't. And obviously, it's software scrolling and stuff like that. This is a testament to, again, the grunts of the little machine in the right people's hands. I would argue, if you've never played a home port of Green Beret but loved it, or Green Beret, as I used to say when I was a kid, give me, you know, throw me a bone, I was like 8 or something. Yeah, I would argue this is a brilliant port to start on. Now, the next game is not by Imagine, or not by Elite. The next game is by Domark, and that's Star Wars Arcade by Atari.
And no man wants to see for his barrel roll cockpit, because that's just uncomfortable. I have no doubt that I'm about, oh shit, I get spanked royally. Oh, I always find it difficult to judge your flight pattern, because you have to move your crosshair to such extremes to control you know, the course of your you know, the path of your ship, I should say. Stay low, stay low. Ooh, see, and then also, oh shit, the fact that you have to aim and stuff kind of makes it, you got a snowball's chance in hell, basically. Maybe it was easy in the arcade because it had the greatest yoke ever invented. Oh bollocks! I'm gonna call it quits there.
Now, you could argue that there are better Star Wars clones, Star Wars game clones, at least the arcade machine on the Spectrum, such as Star Strike, but they're not official ports, and this is official ports. And Domark licensed Star Wars Arcade Trilogy, and, I mean, to be fair, this is an amazing port. Vector graphics considered more simple to port over than obviously shaded vectors, certainly not polygons, although anyone else remember Freescape. But this is a bloody accurate port of Star Wars Arcade, you know, and later on it gets really, really hard because it has the, you know, the progression of difficulty mechanic, particularly in the trench run. And I loved it as a kid. I absolutely adored it. And you can argue against some of the other games in this list. It's a more simplified game, you know, it's just like line graphics and stuff like that. But it's an arcade port that the Spectrum absolutely nailed. And obviously they're not in this list because, well, I didn't want to put one Star Wars in, but there's an amazing port of The Empire Strikes Back, which is also a vector graphic game. And also there's a really good port of Return of the Jedi, which is a really good port, so it's not its fault that it's not a vector graphic game, because let's be honest, that's what we would have wanted. Right, penultimate in this list, again, no particular order, would be Operation Wolf. Oh, bollocks, I just shot Klinger. Oh, shit, and then I just shot Hawkeye. I guess Suicide isn't painless. Hang on, chicken. Jeez, look at it. I do not remember it being this hard. My health already? Oh, I'm out of nades. Can I shoot them with the... Ooh, stay away from MASH. Hang on. Operation Wolf, once again, I say that a lot, but it's true. A game you would think could not be ported to the ZX Spectrum accurately. Well, yes it was. Again, it was monochromic, but obviously the arcade machine had that big Uzi, and while there was a light gun for the ZX Spectrum, there was no way it was going to replicate the arcade machine in that nature, and I would advise playing it without it, because I had the light gun back in the day, and the way it worked out where to shoot on the screen left this horrible black line. So this isn't about that, because I played it without the light gun first, and quite, you know, well, most ports of it back in the day had a cursor only. Anyway, and that's what this has, and it's there, it's all there. It's got absolutely huge sprites, all the scrolling levels, all the bad guys are in here, vehicles, stuff like that. You've got your rocket grenades, you can't shoot civilians or the nurses, you can shoot the ducks though. Apparently massacring animals is fine. And yeah, the 128K music is brilliant. Fantastic game. It plays so well, and even though it's a crosshair, it plays so amazingly tight. Operation Wolf on the ZX Spectrum, more so than its sequel, Operation Thunderbolt, which was also made by Ocean, because this was made by Ocean. This is the superior game. Once again, it's a game that you can show someone who knows the arcades but has never seen a ZX Spectrum, and they'll go, that's Operation Wolf. Now, the last game in this list, you could argue against all the sort of violence and hack and slash and shooting and stuff like that that's come before it, is a good old-fashioned barroom simulator. So that would be Tapper. Fuck. Oh, you don't. Oh, bollocks. My God, that was really intense. Also, isn't the level the other way around on the Atari 2600? Right, 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Well, I'm trying to count my punters. So Tapper by US Gold in 1984, based on a Bally Midway arcade machine of the same name, that was originally released in bars as Budweiser Tapper, and then because of its success they poured it to arcades and it became Root Beer Tapper, then Pepsi Tapper, which is what the Spectrum version is, and there was a Mountain Dew Tapper, which I don't think was available in England at the time, and I wouldn't drink it now even though it is, because it tastes like piss. But yeah, simple game. You can argue that simple games, you know, should be easy to port to the ZX Spectrum, but that's not entirely true. Simplicity of a gameplay style does not automatically equal a decent port, but this is a fantastic port, and it's a very early port indeed. It's 1984. Collect glasses, return them to your punters, various degrees of level layout and stuff like that. I mean, for an early game, the amount of colour in this is absolutely fantastic, and it resembles the arcade machine. Again, show someone this arcade port who's never seen a Spectrum and say, name that arcade machine, and if they played it, they'll say Tapper. So that was another 10 amazing arcade ports available on the Spectrum. And I've just scratched the surface of fantastic arcade games on the Spectrum. So, I mean, I may do another one, I may not, because I want to, you know, focus on multiple systems. But, you know, the Spectrum was a big part of my life, and as I've said in the previous video and previous Spectrum videos, that being able to play arcade games at home was a big deal, and the only machine I had to do it on was the Spectrum. So that's why, you know, these ports were such, you know, a wonderful thing and a big part of my childhood. Anyway, as always, I'd love to know what you think. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.